everybody. Happy Tuesday evening. So happy to have you. I'm Tracey Flintoff, and my co-host tonight is Jeff Morton. We're so happy to have Jeff on the team. He's quite an inspirational fella, a lot of great knowledge, and he's had his own health journey and his incredible success story with these patches as well. And then, of course, we've got Joy and Cami on with us and the rest of our team. And we're so happy to have you. So we're going to go through our 30-minute introductory session, and we're going to follow that up with question and answer. And if you're a guest or if you've brought a guest tonight, we'd love for you to put your name in chat because we're going to put you in a drawing to win 5x39 patches. And then after we answer questions tonight, then Cami is going to take us on a deep dive talking about skin and skin in terms of regeneration, repair, and even autoimmune conditions and how to move beyond them. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if you'll bear with me here just a moment and we'll get started. And it truly is our joy and pleasure to have you here with us tonight because what we're going to share with you is something you should probably thank the person who invited you because they cared enough to invite you to help you learn about groundbreaking use of phototherapy, light therapy. And this product of light has been used for thousands of years, and you're going to see why, how, and we're going to talk about a whole new technological spin on that. Because what we're talking about tonight is your cells, and that is your body's powerhouse. It helps you with energy and focus and performance, recovery, endurance, and so much more. And pretty life-changing stuff. And way back a few years ago, you might have heard of this fellow, Albert Einstein. He was talking about physics and the future of medicine, looking at frequency. Light happens to be a frequency, like sound is a frequency. Um, right along those lines, Thomas Edison, he was looking at the light bulb, and that's a big clue about what we're talking about tonight. But he was talking about a future where people are working more on prevention of disease than giving pills. And that is exactly what we are talking about tonight. So fast forward, here we are in full color life, right? So the future of medicine isn't just about treating illness. It's really about unlocking the body's innate ability to heal itself, to repair, to regenerate, to prevent. And that body that we have is designed so incredibly intelligently. The ultimate technology tool, I always say. But before we get too far on this, we always like to do our disclaimer that the patches we're talking about are a holistic wellness product in the FDA's categorization. We are not medical professionals. So Jeff and Cami and I are not going to be diagnosing or treating any medical conditions tonight. We always want you working with your doctor, your practitioner, and with whatever you're dealing with. And you might want to work with them on looking at your blood work numbers because I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised as things start to likely change as they have for me. Every time I look at my blood work every 6 months now, it's better and it's exciting. But the information we're sharing tonight is purely for informational purposes only. So this is just looking at light in a more modern day setting. So it can be red light therapy, laser light, infrared sauna, MRI. It is making change in the body. But these are all synthetic versions of light, and they can take time. They have limits, and they can do damage if you use them incorrectly. What we're talking about tonight is helping our body to find balance. And really, this chart here shows you the reason why this company has spent 10 years on stem cell research. Because the reality is, the older we get, the faster we age, and the slower we heal. And it all comes down to one central reason, and that is the repair system, the prevention system in our body is stem cells. And that is the way a newborn baby is formed in utero. It is stem cells. And when that baby is born, they are pretty much full of stem cells. They have that baby fresh scent and beautiful smooth skin. And that's, the baby has that insulated protective mechanism called stem cells. But as we age, we start to decline on them. And by the age of 30, we've lost about 50%. When we're 60, we've lost 90%. That means we only have about 10% left to keep us up and rolling. But what we're talking about tonight is our best kept secret. It is a safe and affordable way to change the trajectory of your aging process. And you don't have to go down Mother Nature's typical bell curve. We can deviate, we can turn some things back by the power of what we're talking about tonight. And that's a wearable light technology. And it's activating our own light in our body. And it is quite a game changer, and we are able to work on a lot of different things. The body is. This is just a tool. It's a light tool to allow the body to do great things, but it is patented, and the only company in the world that has this. We're pretty fortunate because what we're working on here is elevating and changing the body up. And I am going to have you watch a really short little video here, and then I'll be back to you shortly. But I think this explains it all so well and better than I do. Enjoy.
Light, an ancient form of energy that goes back to the dawn of time. For us, it all begins with the sun, the source of light and life for our entire solar system. Even Einstein concluded that everything we're made of contains light. All life originates with the sun through photosynthesis. Plants and vegetation collect the light, and all living creatures emit light. Humans actually emit infrared light, which can be seen with night vision devices. We've known for centuries that light has many effects on the body. LifeWave's phototherapy patches use light to stimulate the body's natural healing systems, providing specific health benefits. Here's how the technology works. First, a patch is applied to specific points on the body. Where the patch covers the skin, infrared light emitted from the body is reflected back into the tissue. This stimulates the skin, which in turn stimulates specific regions of the brain. The brain then taps into the body's own natural flow of energy and the ability to heal itself. Let's take a look at why this is important on a cellular level. For example, a number of our patch products help counteract free radicals, oxygen molecules that damage cell proteins and contribute to visible signs of aging. When the body is stimulated through phototherapy to release its own antioxidants, these free radicals are neutralized naturally. LifeWave phototherapy patches promote an environment that enables the body to optimize its restorative powers and provide specific health benefits, all without the use of harmful drugs or chemicals, all helping you to stay healthy and young. To find out more, contact your distributor or visit lifewave.com. LifeWave. Live long, live well.
Pretty amazing system. And so thankful for the genius and the patience of the man that invented this. Uh, Originally, these were developed 20 years ago out of San Diego for the United States Navy SEALs to help with their endurance, recovery, energy, and they did it very well. They ended up in the hands of some amazing athletes that have become household names. Would they become household names without these patches? I don't know, but they certainly have helped some people do some pretty amazing things, like Michael Phelps winning a lot of medals, Mike Tyson, Tom Brady. He says he couldn't have played football so late in his career if it had been for the regenerative property of what these do to repair damage in the body. Serena and Venus Williams, tennis greats, a really fantastic football team in the Super Bowl was patched up the year they won it. But in 2019, history was made when this company broke all sorts of crazy accomplishments by figuring out how to bring back our deactivated, dormant repair cells. And they're doing that naturally with light. And they've made quite a name for themselves. And what we're talking about is allowing your own body's cells to do the repair work. So it's helping address pain, rapid pain relief, reducing inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of most disease. supporting wound healing, energy, skin appearance. Cami will be talking about that in our next session here with the 30-minute deep dive. We're talking about exercise and recovery, mental clarity. We're talking about sports and performance. The nicest part of this is there are no drugs, no chemicals. This is natural, no stimulants. Therefore, we don't have to worry about drug interactions or what medication you might be on. You keep doing what you're doing. You keep working with your doctor until you might become like I did at 4.5 months. I'd been on levothyroxine for 15 years. My thyroid regenerated. I no longer needed it. And there's some pretty amazing things happening. And when we get to our testimonial, going to share more. My mom will share some more too. But this is a privately held company that has over 200 patents on age reversal technology. They have things lined up for the next 20 years to bring to market that help make life better, all naturally. There's a fantastic website we love to share with you, startx39now.com. This is a really good way for you to learn more, or maybe you want to share this with somebody and you don't know how to explain it. You don't have to be an expert like we are tonight. You just point them to this website, startx39now.com. There's some fantastic information here, the patents, clinical studies, and there's a variety of them. My favorite section is age reversal with GHK copper peptide. That peptide is like a fountain of youth. And this is one of many studies, and this was looking at the cardiovascular system. And after 6 weeks of wearing X39, the participants lowered their cardiovascular age by an average of 8 weeks. So that is going backwards. That is making that heart younger, stronger, better. And if you break that down mathematically, that's like a day and a third younger for every day you wear the patch. That's pretty remarkable. They did a brain health study as well, and they were looking at inflammation in the brain. Inflammation, like I said earlier, is a trigger for a lot of really bad things, but in the brain, it's very problematic for cognition. So, session one here is baseline before this 77-year-old woman even began wearing patches. So, the orange and the red you see is inflammation or heat. Think of swelling, swelling putting pressure on blood vessels. Session two, 3 weeks later, that's her first check in. This is a heat mapping EEG, mind you, looking down on the brain. Her brain goes from a hot brain to a cold brain, but it's the body doing the work. Again, the patch is a signal, just like a radio station or a cell phone. It just is signaling the body to make these changes. Session three, that is a perfectly balanced brain. That is a nice brain. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, it's just right. And what she actually starts experiencing is improved memory and focus, and her cognitive brain function just really elevates. And a lot of that has to do with that copper peptide too, and nerve regeneration in the brain. But largely, getting out that inflammation is the driver of all of these changes. We hear a lot of people talk about their remarkable sleep. I was one of them because I hadn't been sleeping with my hot flashes. I was having nightmares and it was terrible. And fairly quickly, I started sleeping amazingly well. And a lot of other great things started happening because our body repairs while we sleep. So the sleep is really critically important for everything. And the better you sleep, the quicker you're going to heal. And the Alavita, the Silent Nights, are a couple other patches that we can add to add impact to your sleep as well. But what we're talking about here is the difference of youth and aging. So we're looking at on the bottom right here, this is a dying cell. It has broken up. The messaging isn't there. If that cell were to try and, divide and keep something together, it's just not going to work as well. But if you look at that top cell, look at that. That is that beautiful master cell that has all of the messaging intact, like when we're young. And you can see the difference here of what youth and age does. The age is a result of the dying cell. And this is our friend Marcy. And her story is pretty remarkable because in 2019, she was being treated for fast-growing cells, and she had three different types. And she didn't think she had much longer to be on this planet. She was living in a recliner chair and just kind of ready to check out. No hope. Her types were of the breast, the lymph, and the skin, an aggressive one in the skin that they thought would be the one that would ultimately take her out. And luckily for her, her naturopath friend gave her 10 of these X39 patches that bring back those dormant repair cells. And look at this woman in 1 year's time. Look at the vibrancy. Look at her 3 years later, 4 years later. Just amazing. But we're 5 years in now with her on these patches. Everything's still in complete remission. She is living her best life and she's very, very passionate and purpose driven about sharing this with people all over the world. So, what we're going to talk about now is the difference of anti-aging versus age reversal. We are talking about reversing the age, turning back the hands of time with the clock, versus anti-aging, which is stopping where you are age-wise. But what if you don't like where you are? What if you're our friend Dr. Harmon here, who looks like Grandpa Dude, and he had a right branch blockage in his heart? And premature aging. He starts using these patches. A few months later, his nurses start teasing him, John, your hair's turning brown in the back of your head. Of course, he couldn't see it. He thought they were just making fun of him for wearing these band-aids day in and day out. Literal, did they all know that what was happening is his right branch blockage was reversing. And when he went back up a few months later with his cardiologist for a new workup, it was gone. But look at the body when it gets the blood flow it needs and everything starts to get back in balance. That hair color is natural, that returned. The skin is natural. That is the power of the body to regenerate, repair. This lady over here starts out looking like grandma, becomes daughter, and then I believe she starts looking like granddaughter. Pretty remarkable. But we're not talking about just things on the outward appearance. We're talking about things that really matter. And especially if you live in pain, you're going to want to really listen up to this because this can help you manage that pain and address and repair. So, bulging disc here on the left, a degenerative spinal cord, and this is the same patient on the right. And remarkable how that body was able to regenerate. That's collagen helping to regenerate that damaged spinal cord. This is curvature of the spine after 4 weeks on a combination of patches. Look at how beautiful that is realigned. That lady I know has a much better health life and happiness to not be living with that pain and slouched over to one side. But skin repair, I'm going to just touch on this very briefly because Cami is going to go into that on the next session. But, whether you're looking to tighten skin with hyaluronic acid and collagen, the décolleté, you want to hide varicose veins or balance cystic acne. It's possible, and it happens rather quickly. We like to say this is better than Botox. And it's not just for the beautiful skin, that collagen also is the basis of hair growth. Look at this guy after 5 weeks. And these folks here having an amazing life change. I mean, wow, look at them. Not only does their skin look better with fewer wrinkles and indentations, but look at their vibrancy in their eyes. You can just see they are having a better life. And I know Cami will be talking about these things on the next session, so I'll just let you look at the pictures there. But I love that these are not just for our uh, our humans; these are also for our fur babies. And this is my friend's dog here, Brutus, gone blind of diabetes. I didn't know that. I knew he had terrible arthritis and was in a lot of pain. So I told my friend, I said, "Don't throw away those used patches. Why don't you put them on Brutus's bed or tape them inside of his collar?" Because I hear of, all these remarkable changes all around the world with animals and what they're doing for racehorses. Oh my goodness, helping to regenerate a lame horse. Rather than put him out to pasture, let's help that body fix itself. So whether we're talking kitty dog, but this was Brutus's change in about a week. Regained his eyesight. Look at that. The pupils back, the brown of that eye regenerated. We couldn't believe it. We both cried. We were so excited. And now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm oh so hopeful that my mom was able to get on. Her Zoom was acting up. Um, so it looks like my mom may not have been able to get on. But the last time my mom was on, she told me, or she told all of us her story. And it started with her very first colonoscopy at age 40 being full of polyps. And every time after, she's had tons of polyps. They have her doing the colonoscopies much more frequently than the average person because of that condition. And she's just elated that last summer at age 79 when she got her colonoscopy. They told her, wow, this is unusual for you because you don't have a single polyp. They're all gone. So that was a pretty great win. My mom also was diagnosed with a small tumor on her left breast a month before, um, actually, excuse me, a month after we started using these patches. Maybe it was even 6 weeks by the time we actually got the biopsy back. Luckily, I bought enough of these patches for her and I just wanted to keep my mom as young as I could. She and I are very good friends, and I just want to keep her here on Earth with us. And when we met with the oncology after the surgery, the biopsy removal, um, they um, put they put her on. They originally told her she was going to need chemotherapy and radiation, but thankfully, after they came back on the day of surgery, they compared the measurements. That mass on her breast was smaller than the day they discovered it. Never really seen that before, and her doctor was a little perplexed. And I happened to say, do you think that, these repair cells that start with an S could have anything to do with that? And he looked at me and he said, well, of course, those are very, very anti-cancer, but your mom's not had any of those injections, so we can't attribute it to that. And I said, oh, but we wear these patches and they help bring back these dormant repair cells. And do you think that could have anything to do with it? Lo and behold, yeah, obviously, I now know. But that doctor really was perplexed. But the list has gone on and on for my mom about 90 days in, and she was waiting for her second knee replacement, bone on bone, terrible grinding, awful pain. We got to cancel that in 6 months, but 90 days the pain was gone. But in 6 months, she went back to the doctor. They did new imaging, and he said, wow, the cushioning in your knee is regenerated. You have very nice cushioning and lubrication. You're not bone on bone anymore. So let's skip that. You don't need it. She's gone on to have her incontinence improved, her sleep greatly improved. And then last summer, she's been on a sleep apnea machine for about 7 years. And her doctor, pulmonologist, said, at your age, we need to do another study and just make sure we're treating it right still. And it came back, and I went to that appointment with her. And he walked in the office shaking his head and he said, huh, this is interesting. You're 79 years old. I rarely ever get to tell people this, and especially not 79-year-old women. But your COPD in your lungs is regenerated and your sleep apnea is gone. You no longer have sleep apnea. You don't need to use that machine. Happy day. We were pretty excited with that. So those were our greatest accomplishments. I always say my mom has been my best test case, and she kept thinking nothing was happening. So I'm here to tell those of you who think nothing's happening, trust something's happening. You can't feel cellular change. Just trust the body. It knows what it's doing. But last week, I had the paramedics at her house one day because we thought she was having a stroke. The words were wrong. She couldn't really walk, and determined that she had very low blood sugar, and recommended we get her to the hospital. She would not go because once they got her blood sugar up, of course, she felt fine. Why would I go to the hospital? I'm perfectly fine. But the next day it happened again. I took her directly to the emergency room, checked the blood sugar again. It was 31. Now, mind you, my mom's been a type 2 diabetic for 8 years on metformin, and then they changed it to glipizide a few months ago. And it turned out they kept her in the hospital for 2 days of observation just to try and figure out what was taking down her blood sugar so dangerously low. The doctor called me after 2 days and said, I just want to let you know your mom is grossly over medicated on that blood pressure, or excuse me, blood sugar medication. She doesn't need it anymore because she's no longer diabetic. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Really shocking. And then he said, also, when you work with her doctor, because she didn't come in for this, but I just want you to know, I don't think she needs the high blood pressure meds that she's on either. Her numbers are perfect without those meds. So I would recommend that you work with somebody that helps wean her off of those. So happy day. We are so thankful, so excited. And I'm just thankful that I'm going to get to have a whole lot more years with my 80-year-old mom who just keeps getting younger. And So I am now going to turn this over to Jeff, and he's going to let you know how you can get your hands on these fantastic patches.
Right.
Jeff, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
So
perfect.
very quickly, I wanted to look at something before we did this, and I'm just going to take a moment here to I wanted to find out because I'm seeing these commercials for stem cells injections, and so I wanted to find out, well, what kind of costs are involved in these. And this is what I came up with. I did a little research on this. The type of stem cell injections, for example, orthopedic, which means knees, hips, spine, $5,000 to $10,000 per injection. Cosmetic, facial rejuvenation, hair restoration, stem cell injections between three and $7,000 per injection. Systemic conditions, autoimmune disease, those kinds of things, which Cam is going to talk about here in a minute. $15,000 to $30,000, and then we've got the fast growing cells, the experimental treatments are between $20,000 and $100,000 per injection. So what we're talking about here is reactivating our own stem cells. And for $149 a month, you can get the X39. That's the retail price. This is kind of how the product is sold on a retail basis. If you're interested in doing some other things with how this is sold, we can get that down to $99 a month, and you get 30 patches for each one that you buy. Now, with those 30 patches, we always like to add a supplemental patch to kind of accommodate the X39. But I'm always telling people, start with the X39 and let's see if we can get you out of the retail mode and into the wholesale mode. And of course, there's different options for that. You just got to get with the person who introduced you to the LifeWave, and they can go through all those prices for you. But you can spend thousands of dollars apparently for stem cell injections. And here we're talking about taking a shower, putting a patch on, and going about your business, and for dramatically reduced costs. And I got to say, I've been doing this since the end of March, and I'm seeing some pretty exciting issues. I'll be 66 years old in August, and I'm seeing an issue that I've been dealing with uh, as a result of wearing the patches since March kind of reverse itself. Plus, my hair is growing back. I've never had a problem with sleeping. But in terms of just try to get to customize your kit, we can do all of that stuff for you so that you're paying the wholesale prices instead of the retail prices. Now, there are people out there that prefer to do the retail prices, and we can explain all that to you as well. The bottom line is it's a lot less than $5,000 and $10,000 to put a patch on. And I absolutely am thrilled beyond, I can't even express to you, people, what this has done for me. I am a cancer survivor, stage 4. I did have a brain aneurysm. They thought it was going to be a vegetable many years ago. But I started looking at all these alternative type things. And then I came across, Cami introduced me to the patches, and I went, okay, I'm kind of burned out on looking at all this stuff, but I did do a deep dive on it come January. I started using them in March, and the cost for me personally, because of the enrolled people, that I'm not really spending a lot of money because I'm being reimbursed by the people that I've introduced this to. And for me to not introduce this to people is almost criminal. So that's kind of how you can kind of break the cost down and get it for a little less money. But we absolutely believe that you need to do this for, I tell people to at least do it for 90 days because your body's going to react differently. Everybody's different, but at least do it for 90 days. And we'd love to see you do it for $99 a month as opposed to $149. So just get with the person that introduced you to LifeWave, and we're more than happy to show you how that's done. Oh, you can do all these core packages, the advanced package. You can do 295. This will get you 3 points, and this is for one user. I tell people to do the advanced 535 for if you're a married couple or something like that. And then you can do the premium, which is, there's a whole lot. I don't even know how many patches you get with that. But the bottom line is you got to start somewhere. And if you're a single individual, 295 gets you the patches for 30 days. You can get a couple of different brands or different ones of the patches. Then the advanced, if you got a couple, I think that's remarkable. And you can both try it out together. And then, of course, the 1750. And if you're into this for a business opportunity, this all matters. Okay. We also have the light infused water coming out soon, and I'll let Tracey kind of tap into that. I can't wait for the machine to show up. Anyway, that's it.
Good job, Jeff. Thank you so much. Yeah, this water machine is going to be a game changer. And what they are doing is David Schmidt, the inventor, has been working on this for years. And water is really very important to the body. And there's a huge water crisis around the globe. Not that there's not water, but there are contaminants. And then we bottle it up, and then we have microplastics. And they're finding them in our brains, in our organs, and even in fetuses. That is not good. And so he has really been working on this, knowing the importance of water for cellular health. And he's figured out how to suspend a photon, that's the light, in water, binding it with hydrogen. And when you do that, you get a structured water that makes change in the body. So the patches are making change in the body too. But when we put these together, it is amazing magic, like miraculous kind of things. We learned of a lady at the convention, macular degeneration for 2 years, losing vision in that left eye. 2 hours later, after she drank a 12-ounce glass of this water, she was seeing really well. She's like, wow, the vision is coming back. So it can really accelerate the repair of the body. So I can't wait in July. That'll be coming out probably toward the end of July. And only those of us who are brand partners, wholesale buyers in this company will get to purchase that the first year. The demand is going to be high. And we'd love to share this with people. And we're here every Monday and Tuesday night. Cami, Joy, Jeff, Joyce, Kathy. There's a whole team behind this. And we're so thankful to have such a fun team to bring this to life and help share this. So you never have to be the expert. You just invite your friends here. And again, if you brought a guest or you are a guest tonight, please put your name in chat. We're going to put you in our drawing. And Yasmina, I already has you in the drawing. So you're taken care of because I know you were on last night. But at 6 to 6:30 Mondays and 6 to 6:30 Tuesdays, we're doing this intro session. And then we answer a few questions, and then we go into a deep dive only on Tuesday night on a different topic. So please stay on with us if you can, because Cami in just a few minutes is going to be sharing some pretty amazing things about skin and autoimmune issues responding to this. And then our amazing friend Marcy on Wednesday nights, hers is earlier, 4 p.m. Pacific time, and she too gives away some patches. So we hope you can join us. And if you're asking yourself, gosh, I want to get these, what do I do? Well, we always want to get your questions answered. So in just a moment, feel free to type your questions into the chat or unmute yourself. Always get back to the person who invited you if you'd like to place that order. We really recommend you give X39 and Eon a try for at least 90 days. Give your body a chance to start rebalancing. And then you can add some supportive patches if you would like, and let your body start feeling younger, better. We look at this as a gift. It's a gift of health, and the rewards are absolutely priceless. And because of the nature of our country's medical structure, this company is not advertising these because of FDA regulations. So they're not out there on TV commercials and billboards, and I think they should be. So it's up to us to share with people we care about. And if we do, they'll give us a little thank you check. And if you share with a bunch, they'll give you some pretty big thank you checks, and you can, go on a vacation, buy a car, pay for your kids' activities, whatever that might be for you. But it's really coming down to social responsibility. And this company is so incredible because the product works. It's the second fastest, or excuse me, for the second year, it is the fastest growing direct marketing company in the country and clipping a lot around the world too. And it comes down to what's your dream life? Is it just so you can walk again, hold hands with your loved one, go on a hike? Whatever your dream might be, this can help you. And if you want to dream even bigger than that, this can help you there too. But what it comes down to is just living younger. And starting with that X39, it is a game changer because it all comes down to harnessing your own light to let your body regenerate and repair. So I'd like to open it up to questions now. And I'll go ahead and we will stop the sharing. And we're going to go ahead and stop the recording. But thank you for joining us, and we'll be back on here in just a moment, like I mentioned, with Cami for our deep dive momentarily.